Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the next review in the On Wax Reviews series. Now, I said I was going to do another one. I didn't know when, but this album happened to fall into my lap, so to speak. And so I want to get on here and talk about this record that I listened to because, this channel is, I should quote my good friend Johnny Radio, is about discovery, and I want to bring light to albums and artists that perhaps will get very overlooked by the general public. And so I definitely feel that this is more than certainly the case for Smile More by Life 9. Now, Life 9 is a young up-and-coming rapper, and I was recommended this album by him, actually, and it just kind of popped up, and I was like, you know what, it's less than 30 minutes, I'm going to give this a shot because you never know what you're going to discover on the internet, And so I went into this with a fair amount of expectations. Wasn't really expecting much, but I was also expecting something that could be quite special. And honestly, I ended up getting a little bit of the latter because this is very exciting to me, especially in the realm of hip-hop, where a lot of newer artists, just the stuff that we get inundated with in the mainstream, I'm not, necessarily a fan of the sounds of a lot of these artists. And, of course, there's Tyler, the Creator, there's Kendrick Lamar, who, personally, I've fallen off a little bit on his albums, I think quality-wise, even though he is such a culturally dominant force to be reckoned with, no one can take that away. One of the GOATs of all time, I'd say without question. But it is nice to see someone who's hungry and willing to get out there to lay down those bars and really put out their heart and soul. And I feel like that's what you really get with Life 9 on this album. And I'd say the biggest compliment I can give to this record, even more so than the rapping, is the production. Now, he keeps referencing throughout the album his friend Jaden. Now, I don't know if Jaden is the mastermind behind this album or if it is the artist himself. But I must say that whatever the case may be, some of the production on here is on par with some of the best production in the hip-hop game. And that's not an exaggeration at all. Sure, I will say, when it comes to some of the interludes with the phone calls, like you could tell it's kind of, amateurish, and, that's not a huge knock against this record because, my goodness, the samples on here and the hooks and everything, it is just absolutely stunning. It really is very reminiscent of the best of Tyler, the Creator, and A Tribe Called Quest, which is not a compliment I just throw out there. Now, especially Tyler, the Creator, you can tell is probably the biggest influence on Life 9 here as an artist, and even shows up in some of the interludes talking. So I think regardless of whether the influence is obvious, I always say it's what you do with it that matters. And I really do think he kind of sets his own lane for himself, where he does feel like even if he is retreading similar ground that Tyler has, he still feels like he has a very, very distinct voice. And that's something that must be commended, really. And I can get into quite a few of these songs on this album here, especially with the opening track after the opening interlude. All This Time was really impressive right off the bat, especially from the beautiful piano intro that kicks off this track. Now, I will say I don't quite love the song because I think the flow could be tighter. I mean, this man's got bars, but sometimes, you can tell that he has a little bit of improvement to make in that department, but I still really appreciate what he's talking about on this song. And I think the Tyler influence is more than evident right from the bat. I mean, he even references Flower Boy and Call Me If You Get Lost in the lyrics. Also, Gabriel Grott absolutely kills it on the feature. That's probably the best part about this entire track, but even if it has a few shortcomings, I mean, really, the production here is just absolutely outstanding, and I really do think it is a very solid track to kick off the rest of this album. And then you get Find My Way with its rickety beats and synths that really lend to some of the best on the entire album, hands down. And I think Marzius's feature on here is easily the best on the entire record. My goodness, he is going so hard. But I really love what these guys are talking about. They were both talking about, self-isolation and cutting off fake friends and, trying to pave your way for success through all of this. I think that is a very reoccurring theme on this album, and I think Life 9's bars get even better and stronger as the album goes along. I mean, you can tell that he is a white rapper, but really, I think what is so impressive about his skill, like, you can tell that anybody can come into the game. Sure, there's a little ways to go, and I think he's only going to get better over time, but really what I love about what he talks about on this album, the very personal anecdotes that he gets into, the way he's very open about his sexuality and kind of the things going on in his life, it is very refreshing in hip-hop, and I think this song really was where I think it really, really started to get into a lot more of that, and I was really, really just very impressed by what he has to say throughout this entire record. And you get a lot of the same on Confused, but I think this really gets to show his sense of humor. I was definitely cracking up on this track at a couple moments, but also, kind of the same thing, navigating, your path to success while trying to juggle relationships, and maybe, perhaps that's not the best fit for him right now, and that's absolutely fine. Knowing yourself and knowing what you need out of life, I think, is something very important, and I think that resonates very, very strongly on this track. And Oh Honey's a really interesting track I want to mention because I think it has some of the most clever wordplay on the entire album, like especially the Reader Red line. That really was impressive to me. And I do think that the flow is definitely on point on this track, but I really think the attack could be a lot stronger. I think that's probably what needs the most improvement in his rapping game, but still, I mean, yet again, I don't really think that there's a weak song on this album, and that's really saying a lot because, my goodness, for someone who's just coming into it and having this be their debut, I guess you could say, I think, he's made a mixtape beforehand, but this is, some really, really, consistent stuff from top to bottom. And I also have to mention Nap, which is, oh my goodness, one of my favorite songs of the year, honestly. I mean, the female R&B vocals at the beginning or throughout this entire track, honestly, are very reminiscent of 90s R&B, like a la Mariah Carey, and I was just really sinking into that hook. Oh, it's so good. And yet again, this is easily some of the best, honestly, easily the best lyrics on the entire record. Yet again, talking about maybe having relationships take a back seat and focusing on more productive work. And I love that whole proclamation, he's not a player, he ain't trying to rebound. Really, really amazing, amazing stuff. And I really feel that this is a song that could be seasoned to mainstream radio. I think that this is definitely one of the best songs. And if you're going to check out one track on this entire album, I definitely think Nap is the one to do it. I might add this to one of my own playlists. It's that good, seriously. So, yeah, really, really impressed by that one. And like I said, a lot of these songs are just really, really good, even if I don't love them. Like Snakes, for instance, not my favorite song, but the beat is so irresistible. It's kind of hard to deny. And then you get to one of my favorite tracks on this album, being Omari, and I believe he's talking about his friend Omari, who I also think is in the rap game, and how he kind of looks up to him, and the way that the jazzy instrumental and the chord progression come together on this is absolutely sublime, with the record scratch right after being the absolute cherry on top. Yet again, this is one of the most mind-blowing moments of the production on this album, and just one of the finest examples of what these guys can do together. And I also just love how this track has Life 9 looking at his position as a white rapper in the game, kind of addressing the privilege that comes along with that. Definitely something that Eminem has addressed in his past albums, but also just how much the hip-hop game means to him as a form of expression, and just how he loves the genre as a whole. And I think that kind of introspection and you know, look at his status and also just what this art form essentially means, I really do think that shines through above everything else, and is why he is a standout voice, to me at least, in underground hip-hop, because I really think that this guy could be going places. And that's why I wanted to get on here and talk about this album. And like I said, my only thing is, I just think that the flow could be a bit tighter, but I really do think, you know, the harder you put in the work, the more returns are going to come from it. And I definitely think that is going to be the case. Please go out of your way to check this out. If this interests you at all, I wouldn't be getting on here just to talk about an album that I thought was just like okay or mediocre or whatever. But really, I want to put this guy on your radar because I think that there are lots of great things to come from him in the future. And I'm going to give Smile More an 8 out of 10. I'm very, very pleased with this album. One of my favorites of the year so far, but, you know, I haven't listened to too many albums yet, so we'll see where things fall by the end of the year. But yeah, I mean, this is really up there, probably my favorite album after Don't Tap the Glass so far this year. But yet again, more to come on that soon, and really keep up the great work, brother. I really do think that you are going places, and if you keep the nose to the grindstone, your aspirations are going to take you to that Grammy before 30, let's hope. So yeah, anyways, check out this album. Let me know what you think about it if you do check it out down in the comments below, and please smash the like button if you want to see more album reviews like this, or other reviews in general, because of course there's going to be more eventually later this year. I can almost guarantee that. But look, there's a lot of great movie reviews on the horizon as well. Definitely look forward to my review of The Roses, and also Caught Stealing, and then it's off the TIFF, baby, and we are going to be unloading with so many great movies coming out of that festival. Some I'm already ready to talk about, but we'll get to that point when we get there. So please have yourselves a good one, and I will hopefully talk to you guys very soon.